open Photoshop, and I have a batch of photos here that I am going to open. I would like to point out that I can click and drag what is called Marquee Selection around a group of photos to drag them in. I could also do a Control A to select all. I could do a Control click on different photos, or if I wanted to select a group that is all right next to each other, I could select one and then shift click on the last one in that group. All of those are acceptable for loading. I'm going to go ahead and drop 2 in here to open them up. Remember that you can see the tab. It gives you the file name up there. If you open a couple and then you realize that you still need more open, you should not drag it here because that applies the image into that image there. Okay, and that's not what we want. We want it to open as a separate image. So I'm going to drag it up here where those tabs are so that it opens as its own separate file. And let me get just a couple more. And one more, I think. Okay, so we're going to be covering selection tools at this point in time. And our selection tools are located up here at the top of our toolbar. And remember that you have a little triangle at the bottom right of your tools that shows that there is another tool docked there. When you hover over it, it gives you a tool tip. It tells you the name of the tool, it tells you the keyboard shortcut, and it also tells you what that tool does. Okay? So with the Move tool, and if there is one keyboard shortcut that you remember for your tools, it would be V, because you use this tool so often. So I would, with this, you have layers, and when you open photographs in Photoshop, they start off with their layer locked. So all I have to do is click on that lock to unlock it, and that would allow me to use the Move tool to simply move around whatever is on that layer. And then I can undo it to put it back in its spot. So it's pretty simple. Now, underneath that, or docked with that, is called the Artboard tool. And the Artboard tool allows you to create, move, or resize multiple canvases. And if I drag over here, notice that is creating another artboard, another canvas for you to work on. And I could increase the size of this canvas. Notice I can also do it right here. If I wanted to give it a specific size, I could do it there. Here is Artboard. Okay, so if I wanted to drag that over to that artboard, I could. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that artboard. Or maybe I'm just going to go and undo. Let me continue. Or maybe that's where I want to go back in my history. Let me go back real quick. I'm going to undo that artboard because I don't want it there. Okay, so instead of making a new artboard, I'm going to go ahead and make a new file. And I am going to start up here. One of the common things you can do is they have some preset sizes up here. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with letter, and I'm going to make it landscape. That's just to give me some size. I'm also going to go to window and arrange, and I'm going to do a 2-up vertical so that I can have my blank canvas on one side and my photos on another. So underneath the Move and Artboard tool, we will see the Marquee tools. We have rectangular, elliptical, single row, and single column. I'll be honest, I don't use the single row or the single column much, because if you make it, notice the marching ants here, that is really all you're getting. So if I go paste that over here, you can see it's a single row of pixels from that photo. Okay, so there's a purpose for it somewhere. I just have not used it much. Control D will deselect and get rid of the marching ants. You can also go to the select menu and choose deselect. I do use, however, the rectangular and the elliptical Marquee tool often. So I'm going to go ahead and make a selection with the rectangular Marquee tool, and I am going to copy with a Control C, which is up here under the edit menu, copy, and I am going to paste. Also here under the edit menu, I'm paste right here. Now you can see the difference. It took out all the rest of the background. Now this is, this is a little large for my canvas. Okay, so what I want to do, oops, was I on the right one? There we go, that looks better. So what I want to do is I want to use my transform tool right here, and notice that I can get there with Control T, and notice the handles it gives me. And then I can simply reduce the size of it. And I want to point out that it drags it in proportion. Okay, that means that when you try to change the width, it automatically changes the height to match. And then you can hit the check mark to apply that transformation. Okay. In addition, if you have the Move tool selected and you are on this layer here, look up here in the options and you're going to notice the Show Transform controls. If you click on that, you are automatically going to get those transform handles without having to go to the edit, transform, or Control T. You just have to make sure that you realize what layer you are on. I'm going to go to a different image, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that I can see the entire image. This image has the sky, which is a pretty uniform color, and it's got pretty good contrast between the statue and the sky. So I am going to skip down and I am going to select, I'm going to try the magic wand first. Notice we have the object, quick, and magic wand. Object selection, quick selection, magic wand. I'm going to try the magic wand first. So what I want to do though is I want to look up here in the options, and one of my options is contiguous. That means when it is next to each other. So if I have contiguous selected, notice that it is selecting all of the sky that is touching each other, but there are some parts between the statues that aren't selected. So if I uncheck contiguous and I do that again, now notice how it has gotten every single part of it in between. Now, here's the trick on this one. We don't actually want to copy the sky over here. We want to select just the statue on top of the pedestal, the concrete pedestal. So we're going to go to the Select menu, and we are going to choose Inverse. Now notice that everything except for the sky is selected. So Inverse selects the opposite. Now I can copy, and I can come over here and I can paste my statue. And because I turned on the transform controls, the show transform controls, it's going to let me resize it without having to go to the edit transform. Then I'm going to go to another photo, and I'm going to try using the object selection. I don't know if it's going to work on this one, but we never know, so we kind of have to try things out first. So I maybe froze my computer. All right, so I tried to, and I'm